Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakah Kodash, Barakatah. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to Yakim out there pushing this word and truth. This is the Brother I with another video, and these past couple of weeks have been very hectic. You've had the launching of the Petro Yuan futures. You've had talks of trade wars. You've had Russian diplomats getting expelled. You've had new sanctions getting slapped on Russian oligarchs. And now, just this past Saturday, there's been an alleged chemical weapons attack against Syrian citizens, which the U.S. government is blaming the Assad regime for. We truly are in the last hours of these last days. And now I'm going to get into my first article on antiwar.com titled, Trump's Call with Netanyahu Tense Over Plans to Leave Syria. Netanyahu objected to the U.S. leaving Syria. A Wednesday phone call between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was quite tense, according to U.S. officials familiar with the situation. Netanyahu had loudly objected to Trump's talk of withdrawing U.S. troops from Syria. That's all it was, is just talk. Trump has no intentions of withdrawing U.S. troops from Syria. He's just a puppet of the elites and the so-called deep state. What you're seeing is a political theater to keep up the narrative to the average American citizen that Trump is his own man fighting against the so-called deep state, and that it's the so-called deep state that's trying to hinder all of Trump's plans at every turn, which we'll come to see in my next article. Netanyahu has opposed the U.S. leaving Netanyahu has opposed the U.S. troops leaving Syria, arguing that it would lead the nation to Iran. The U.S. military operation in Syria, however, is not aimed at fighting Iran in the first place, and rather is meant to fight ISIS. But ISIS is just a proxy army of the U.S. and Israel to fight a proxy war against Iran, because Israel wants to be the main power in the Middle East, but Iran's a major roadblock in the way of allowing that to happen. Officials indicated that Trump's plan was to have all U.S. forces out of Syria within 6 months, a detail officials previously had not provided. The White House has since indicated the pullout is not happening, and Netanyahu has praised Trump for his commitment to Israel's security. And this brings me to my first scripture in Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, the Edomites, the so-called white race, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, and that least of the flock is the Amalekite Edomites, posing as the Israelites in the state of Israel. And we're seeing how they're drawing out the other Edomites, such as the U.S., by keeping them in Syria to fight the Syrian government, and then to eventually fight the Iranian government. And the reason Israel has a major pull with the U.S. is that Israel has a big lobby in the U.S. government, and a lot of politicians get kickbacks in return for voting for policies that help out the state of Israel. There's a lot of financial gain there. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And this will all eventually culminate into the battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where not only is the U.S. going to fight against Iran, but you're going to have other nations such as Turkey, Russia, China, as well as some nations of the EU getting dragged into the Middle East. And eventually you're going to see allies of the U.S. turn against the U.S. and shoot their nukes over to the U.S., as well as the adversaries of the U.S. shoot their nukes as well over to the U.S. to destroy the United States. And during the chaos of all this happening, Yahushua is going to return in the chariots to beam up the 144,000 and the righteous 1/3 to save them from this coming destruction.